G'day everyone, on this episode we're covering a whole lot of things: exhaust, fuel system and mounting of the fuel tank. I'm just assembling the fuel tank here. I've got this all tidied up and there was a wee bit of, because this is welded on the outside and on the inside, and some of the weld was just impeding a little bit on the pump, so I made that nice so it fits in there. And I've got a actual fuel O-ring here, so that will help. There's this fitting that we made up, or Ben made up, and it's got a 10AN to a ORB fitting. Make the thread a little bit shorter so it pulls up on that O-ring, but that thing's ready to go in, and it just slides in here. Like that. The O-ring needs to go in under there, and then this here goes this way over the top like that, so that's how that's going to sit. And then I've got a banjo fitting there for that, and on the inside you can kind of see it down in there sitting there nicely. It's sort of in the wrong rotation actually, you need to rotate it around. It's going to be like that. And the baffles in there. The way that we've joined all this is pretty interesting. Ben's done a great job, so instead of just butt welding two edges together, it will have fold back. Then they tack in the fold back and then weld the outside. There we go. Nice welds. So that paired with these folds on the inside should make for really good joins that aren't going to flex and break over time. And again, this piece here is welded on the outside and on the inside, so then we can bolt in here and the fuel isn't going to come back out these bolt holes through the threads. So up the front I've got the fuel pump in, and I've put a angle bracket on there with rubber mounts and some wee ones in the back down in there you can see for the fuel pump to sit down on nicely. Now I've got this banjo fitting and the AN line that's heading back in towards the car, and under the pedals there you can go around, and then I've put this channel in up here, and that is where I can clip the hose line to all the way through the car. Now up on top I got my fuel filler cap. Now I'm still pondering on this because it's going to go down through the top of the lid here, but I'd really like to not have to lift up my bonnet every time I want to put fuel in it, so I'm thinking about mounting it up in here and running a hose down to there, but I'm still trying to figure that out, so see how that goes. And then for the fuel return, this is a weld on bung that's going to go just in the corner here, and then this here has a ball in it. This is a rollover valve so that it can breathe normally and not get pressure in the tank, but then if the car rolls over, the wee ball blocks off the hole and stops any fuel coming out. So welding these onto this top plate, and then once I sort of had that sorted, I put it in the car and made this strap that goes over the top. It gets pinned down with 4 bolts and has padding on the inside to let it move a little bit without wearing itself out. Alrighty, got this awesome bit of kit here. Got my flex fuel, my pressure regulator, and I didn't have the right fitting to get that on, so for now I actually had this small filter, so I put that there, but later on I'll probably just change that out to just a straight fitting. So the plan is I got the fuel rail here with that AN fitting come off it, and this is going to mount sort of up in here on the back of the firewall, and it's going to feed from out there through into there, and then along through there, and then drop straight down and follow the feed hose back. So I thought this was a good one to show you on. It's just the wee short one that goes from the end of the rail out to the pressure regulator. Now these are the 200 series AN fittings. So they're actually easier to use than I thought they were going to be from some of the reviews. Now it has this wee ring here, and first of all you put your back piece on around the right way. And they're kind of flared, so you can kind of tuck it all in there, give it a wee twist, and they just sort of get past all the threads, and they're on. Then this bit here, it's like a Teflon inner, and then the braided outside, and this wee thing just gets rammed in between the two, up until the shoulder. You can push it down on something to help. So that's nice and up and in there now. And then this one, this can be a wee bit hard. You got to now force this one down the center. There we go. And then that there just slides up the back and screws over the top of the lot. And I've just been using the soft jaws and the vise, holding that and using that to wind that on nice and tight. And there it goes. That's how I'm doing them. Alright, the day has come to try and tackle this exhaust. I've been looking forward to this one. I've been making sure I get a few of the boring jobs out of the way before I do it. Now, first of all, I've gone and put this tube on here. That's just a 90, and it just goes straight down, aiming between the shock and the oil filter. That is just the old oil filter. I popped back on just to check clearance. I'm thinking I might have to do a little heat shielding around those two things later, but that's a problem I'm going to worry about later. So now the idea is to, once we go down, it comes down like this. I'm going to just carry on down to about here, bend around in under here, another 90 to center, and then the muffler sticking sort of up and out here, and then another turn about here somewhere. It's kind of hard to see, to tell on camera, but so I have the muffler here, 3-inch all stainless, and I've just gone and taped a 90 on the end just to try and help get things kind of lined up. So I've got to get that center in there poking up, and I'll do a time lapse of mocking this out and working it out, and you'll see it coming together. It's probably easier than me explaining it. So I'm just going to jump in now and start working on that. So after reading the rules some more, I've worked out that I am going to have to add this cat in. So the rule is, in a scratch build, if the motor came out of a car that had a cat, you have to have one. So I've got this one, and as you can see, it's far too long to fit in there and look right. But what I did was I actually put a thing out on Facebook on a LVVTA page. A whole lot of people got back to me, and a few people had the idea, and I think it's a good idea to actually chop these two cones off, because there's nothing there, and make my own tighter cone, which finishes about half the length of this one, and that way I can actually fit it in there. It should be alright, because I was looking at it, I can come up a little bit more, take that straight part off this pipe, so back up to about here, and that gives me the space that I'll need if these guys sort of finish about there. So I have to remove, I don't know, about 30-40 mil off the ends. So to do that though, it's going to change the cone, so I'm going to have to cut the cone off right up here and work out a pattern and roll up two cones that'll tighten this up. That's how it works in theory anyway, so let's give it a go. It's actually worked out pretty good. I reckon if I clamp up that and weld that together, and then I'll be able to just make it perfectly round, and that's just going to go on there, and each end looks like it's going to line up with what it needs to line up, and we're going to have a short wee cat. So here's a shot of, you can see the flow isn't going to be too much different with this one. It's obviously not going to be as good, but it's going to achieve what we need to make this thing actually fit in, so it should be good. So what we're up to is we're working out where this wastegate's going to fit. I end up going with the Go Fast Spitz wastegate, 38mm, and we're thinking the best place to put it is right there and actually have the pipe come out of the turbo housing. I think from what we understand anyway, that's how to get the best amount of flow. So if that's there, it's obviously going to come in closer and maybe even down a touch to about there, and then the pipe coming off it can come out through there. But the next step is to take a hole saw to this turbo housing and then start to shape it out so we can weld this bit of pipe onto the side of the turbo. See if we can do it. So that was pretty good. We just hole sawed that out there. It actually went pretty well. It wasn't too hard to drill at all. So that's a bonus. And we did a wee weld test on it. It's going to be weldable. So that's another thing I don't need to worry about too much. So now I've just sort of got to mate that up to that. There's obviously quite a lot of fitting work I need to do to make that fit into there nice, and then try and weld it in. So unfortunately I lost the footage on this, but what I did was preheated the housing and then welded it with special rods that are designed for welding cast to other materials, and then slowly cooled it over quite a few hours. And now that that's in place, I can jump into making the wastegate pipe. Alright, so I've just got everything in place, added that last bend there and the straight. Now obviously the straight's way too long, but I haven't quite worked out what I'm going to do at the tip yet, so I need to hold fire on that before I trim it short, just in case it ends up coming out a little bit more or something. So that's going to be it for now. I've also gone in and added a wideband bung into here, which needs to be welded as well as everything else. So now I'm going to pull everything out and take to the bench. I've got it all quite firm now, so it shouldn't move too much, and I'll weld it all out. So I've just got these things, maybe not 100%, but pretty much. I might end up changing some things in the future, but for now I'm pretty happy for this exhaust. Again, I also said I might do a titanium one, but for now I still want this one to be awesome. So I have cut the tips so they're sort of on one line together there, if you can see that. And it looks pretty cool. I wish that the arc for this one sort of was the same arc as that one, but that's already actually quite a large bend. It's just doesn't really work in the area, otherwise it's going to start dropping back down. That'd look weird. So that's all I can really do at the moment there. I'm super stoked with the way the cat and everything turned out, because I thought I was stuck there for a while. It is a little bit close to the shock, but I'll find out how that goes, and I'm loving the wastegate pipe sort of diving down, going through the manifold and running out like that. I know that when it comes to cert, I may have to put a small muffler in this pipe. So I've left quite a bit of gap there so it can. And the other thing is, because it's going to be kind of exposed to the back of the vehicle, I'm wondering if I'm going to have to put some sort of heat shield around this part. But I'm going to think about how I'm going to do that. I've got a couple of cool ideas, and I'll address that in the future once I get the other body panels in here, so I know sort of how far out it needs to be and all that sort of jargon. So yeah, cheers for watching this episode, and I can't wait to hear these things start up and what they're going to sound like. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.